Hi, this is Rachel with Flow on Yoga, and we are going to start down on the ground today. We're going to do a short restorative yin style practice, and the theme of today's practice is going to be rest. So whenever you're ready, grab some pillows, a blanket, maybe a bolster if you have one, a yoga bolster, because we're going to use it for our very first pose. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and jump on your mat, and we are going to start today on our tummies in a kind of a modified variation of frog pose. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and take your block or your bolster, whatever you use, and I'm using 2 pillows as you can see right here, and we're going to come down onto our tummies, and then we're going to take this leg, we're going to put it right up on that pillow. We want our knee kind of tucked in close to our body with our foot out a little further, and then from there you can either come right here onto your forearms, or you can lay your body down on the ground just like this. And once you get down there, is it okay if you need to take a minute to adjust? Maybe you need to pull your pillows in or up or whatever. Tuck your leg up a little more. So like I said, your knee is in closer than your foot. And then either forearms or down like this. And then as you, I'm gonna push this blanket down, there's a blanket under my foot. And as you come into whatever version of that pose that you're gonna do, just go ahead and find some stillness, maybe using your hands as a pillow for your forehead. And I invite you, if it feels comfortable, to close your eyes or just relax and soften the gaze. Begin to draw your attention inward, noticing how your body's feeling right now, noticing your breath, just doing a little check-in, seeing how you're feeling today. Maybe noticing if there's any areas in your body that are feeling like maybe they're going to need a little extra care and attention today. And being mindful of that as we move through this nice, slow, restorative, restful practice. And then once you've done that, begin to bring some intention into your breathing. Begin lengthening and deepening the inhales and the exhales. That full inhale, playing the belly, chest, doing what I like to call like a 360-degree breath, where we're breathing not just into the front of our body, but also into our back as well. And then fully exhaling and letting go on those exhales through your nose. And perhaps with the first few breaths we do, each one can get just a little bit longer. Maybe we start out with a 3 or 4 second inhale and exhale. Maybe we can get that up to 5 or 6, or maybe even more. Just whatever's comfortable for you. Just figuring out what your deepest inhale and exhale is. And as I mentioned before, the theme, the intention of today's practice is rest. And that sometimes our bodies need rest, and especially in American culture today, that's not necessarily seen as a good thing. We kind of have this expectation of busyness, that we always need to be going, and being hyper productive and getting a lot of things done. But rest is so important. And knowing when your body just needs to stop, and you need to just let it go. Let your mind just kind of drop all those things on your to-do list for a little bit and just be right here, right now, in the present moment. So this practice today is going to be all about rest and recognizing that your body does so many wonderful, awesome things for you. And today we're going to thank your body by just giving it a nice, restful yoga practice. After your next exhale, we're going to go ahead and begin to very slowly and carefully, if your forehead's down, begin coming up to our forearms. If you're already on your forearms, when we get to our forearms, very, very carefully, we kind of start putting a little bit of weight into the left side of our body, and we're going to very gently remove that leg And I'm gonna stay facing towards you. So what you will wanna do is probably just move your pillow, your bolster, your blankets to the other side. I'm actually just gonna move mine here and I'm gonna flip my whole body around. And we're just gonna set up for the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna come down and do our left leg this time. Bring those pillows or bolsters right along the left side of your body. Knee up, foot is out more than the knee. We can stay right here on our forearms, or perhaps if it feels appropriate for you, we can come all the way down, maybe resting our forehead to the mat. Or if you're like me and you haven't been to get new contacts during the pandemic and you have glasses and they push into your face, when you try to do that, we're going to use our hands as a pillow to rest our forehead into this half frog pose variation on the left side. Maybe noticing right now how this side may feel different than the other side. Maybe you have more motion on this, more range of motion on this side, more flexibility, or maybe it feels tighter. Maybe you feel a stretch somewhere on this side that you didn't on the other side. As I say very often, our bodies are not symmetrical, so what you feel on one side is not going to necessarily be the same on the other, and that's completely normal. And just one of the awesome things about yoga is you can kind of get in tune with those little quirks of how one side of the body is different than the other, and learn how to work with those asymmetries and just the natural variations that we each have in our own body, and learn how to make yoga work for your body, because yoga should always work for your body. Your body's not working for yoga. We're not here to make ourselves fit into a pose. We're here to have a pose fit and work for our bodies, which is why I love this modified version of frog, because doing the pose as it's classically described, whatever that means, is not something that's very accessible for a lot of people, and it's not really accessible for me. But this version, you get all the benefits, and it's much more relaxing and accessible. And it's just a great way to start out a nice restorative practice. And check in with your breath here. Noticing if some of those thoughts, some of those to-do list items, or those things that have been on your mind start coming up, just lovingly recognize them, thank them, and then just send them on their way. And try to return right here, right now, to this present moment on your mat, to your body and your breath. Take one more deep inhale and exhale here. And then we're very slowly, after that next exhale, we'll start working our way out of wherever we were in that frog pose. Hopefully I don't have a big red line on my forehead. I might. We're going to move these over to the side, and we're just going to make our way back down onto our bellies. We want our elbows directly beneath our shoulders and come into a sphinx pose. This is kind of I like to think of it as the gentler version of a cobra. Still getting nice stretch through the front body, through your core, kind of getting a little bit of work and flexibility in your mid-back. It's a lot less, it's more supportive, I guess, than cobra is a way to put it. So in this pose, we're going to be really pressing into our hands, pressing into our forearms and our elbows, pressing in to the pubic bone, pressing into the tops of our feet and engaging our glutes and our thighs. And doing that should mean that you don't feel like any pinching or any pressure on your lower back. If you are feeling that, maybe invite yourself to lower down a little bit, or try pressing even more into the hands, forearms, pubic bone, top of your feet. So make sure those are really engaged, and if they do, you should feel no pressure at all in the lower back. maybe take a second to adjust and figure out what works for you and whether you need to come down. Make sure you keep those shoulders relaxed, a lot of distance between our shoulders and our ears here. And then just find a little bit of stillness once you get settled into what's working for you right now. And do one more deep inhale, deep exhale, and then we're going to leave our hands pretty much just where they are. We're going to start to raise our hips towards the sky, bring the knees in to where the knees are pretty much directly underneath your hips, and then maybe you stay right here and begin to relax the head and chest towards the ground into a puppy pose, or maybe it feels better for you to kind of walk your hands out a little bit more distance, a little bit more of extension of the arms. I'm going to move my hair. I think it's blocking my entire face right now. And then either with your elbows directly under your shoulders or with your arms extended, and then just let the chest and head relax towards the ground into our puppy pose. If you're here and this isn't feeling great for you, remember we have those pillows and blankets or maybe a bolster or a block. So you can take something if you want here to kind of have a place for your head to go. So it's okay to be doing this with your head or maybe your chest even, just like this, coming down onto something, just like this. So again, play around for just a minute and try to find whatever version of puppy is calling to you today. And don't feel the need to go into arms stretched out, forehead on the mat just because you can. Maybe, even though this is accessible where I am right now, maybe laying on that pillow today feels really good and that's what your body wants and needs today. And that is perfectly okay. So just really listen and follow what your body wants and needs in this resting, restorative practice today. And maybe, especially as we move through these next few poses, as you kind of settle in and begin to breathe and relax into these poses, maybe you feel that after a couple of moments in a pose that maybe your body can relax in even further. Once you hit what you call kind of your edge of sensation, sometimes if you hold it there for a while, after a little bit you find that you've kind of created some space and can move a little further, down a little more, soften a little more. So feel free, if you're experiencing that, to go ahead and let your chest sink down a little more. And those hips are going to stay up high. One more deep inhale. And exhale. And then whatever version you're in, we're going to begin to just very slowly and mindfully and carefully start walking the hands towards the body, hips coming down to the feet. We're just going to take a second here to kind of relax the shoulders and find some length in the spine. You can either stay right here sitting on your feet in Thunderbolt, or maybe if it's accessible to you, you bring your feet apart and let your hips, your bottom settle down to the floor, knees together into Hero's Pose. And just take a couple breaths here. Feeling the shoulders release. Maybe the hands are on the thighs or the knees, palms up or down. Finding length from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of the head. As much extension in your spine as possible. You can always take a block or a pillow or a blanket and put right underneath your hips if you want. If you need a little bit more space, a little bit of a lift, you can always do just like this, and that can take some pressure off your knees and help give you a little bit of that height and extension in your spine. After your next exhale, begin to very slowly, if you have a block or a pillow, go ahead and remove that. We're going to bring our legs to one side, and then coming out in front of us, we're going to put our feet on the ground, and you can either stay right here. We're going to wrap our arms around the shins. We're just going to begin to kind of roll up into a little, maybe this pose has a name, maybe I should have looked that up, but I like to call it egg pose. Just like kind of snuggling down. So you can either stay right here, or if you want to do a little bit more of a balance, you can feel free to kind of scoot back onto your sacrum a little bit, your tailbone, and lift the feet. We're kind of like a very low, knees hugged in boat. Making sure to keep some length in the spine here for just a moment. And then maybe, if you can, trying to bring the forehead towards the knees. Again, your feet can be down this whole time, that's okay. Whatever version, or egg, or whatever it's called. Just come into stillness. I'm actually gonna redo my wrap. There we go. Just breathe. Try to find some stillness. Try to stay right here in this present moment. Like when you have those thoughts about other things outside of this present moment popping up in your head, just recognize them, notice them, and then like watching clouds in the sky, just let them float on by. So one more deep inhale and exhale, either with your feet lifted or if your feet are on the ground. And after that next exhale, we're going to release the arms, the bind in the arms. We're going to bring our legs out a little bit further. And what we're going to do, and again, you can still be using, if you want something to kind of give you a little more of a lift, you can get a pillow or a blanket or something and put it right underneath you to lift you up. That is always available. And what we're going to do is kind of a little bit of a modified turtle. So instead of putting our legs straight out, we're going to keep them up kind of close. We're going to begin to lean forward, and then we're going to put our right arm underneath the right shin, kind of between the shin and the thigh, sort of threading the needle, I guess the calf, and then the left hand. So our hands are on the outside of our feet, just like this. Find some extension through our spine, reaching the crown of the head forward, and just beginning to relax down. And you can stay right here with your legs up and bent like this, and this is fine. We can stay for the whole time. But like I was saying earlier, maybe after taking a few breaths, you realize that the sensation that you originally felt begins to release and you're finding a little more space. So if that is happening to you, You can feel free to bring your legs out a little more. Or maybe your legs are already completely straight on the ground and your arms and your forehead's down on your mat. That's okay. If turtle like that is in your practice, just go right on ahead. If not, settle into a place kind of at your edge where you're feeling some sensation. And just find some stillness. Focus on your breath. Maybe you find a little more space. Maybe you can walk the hands forward a little bit more. Straighten the legs. Maybe the forehead and the chest sinks a little bit more. It's totally optional. Just listen to and follow your body. We're going to take one more deep inhale, deep exhale, and again very slowly to start walking our hands back in a little closer to our body. And the feet follow. And you can still have that pillow or block or bolster under your hips if you need it. I'm going to remove mine, but you can leave it. We're going to make our way into a cobbler's pose. So we want to keep the soles of our feet together. Instead of having our knees up, we're going to let them fall out to the side here. Adjust around a little bit. Sure your sits bones are firmly on the ground. Finding a nice extension and height. We're lifting up through the crown of the head. Keeping that length, while also grounding down through the back body and through your sits bones. Once you find that extension, and your legs don't have, your heels don't have to be in too close to your body. You can feel free, maybe it feels better to move them out even further. You have kind of more of a diamond shape here than a triangle. Totally your choice. You can play around and see what feels the best. Find that height. And then maybe with your hands on your ankles, your shins, or your toes, kind of tip forward from the waist just a little bit, but still keeping all of that length in the spine. And just kind of tipping forward as much as you can while still being able to keep that extension in your spine. And once you get to that edge, then on your next exhale, you can release the chin down to the chest. Either keep your elbows kind of hugged in, or maybe bring your elbows out where they're kind of putting a little bit of gentle pressure onto the shins. Your head is reaching forward and down, just gently though. Making sure that your sits bones are staying grounded this whole time. You do not want to sacrifice that firm connection to the earth to lean forward a little bit more. Always want to keep firmly rooted to the earth. Just taking some time to notice some sensations on the inhales and the exhales. Maybe noticing that as you sit here in stillness, inhaling and exhaling, you can feel some release and find some space to maybe let go a little more. Maybe not. Just honoring wherever your body is right now, right here, on your mat in this yoga practice, in your personal yoga practice. gonna take one more deep inhale. And one more deep exhale, complete exhale. And begin to very slowly and carefully with control rise back up to seated. Take our hands to the outside of the knees, gently bring our knees up, the bottoms of the feet to the floor. I'm gonna have to scoot this way or my head will be all the way over there on the tile, and we don't want that. And now here, we're gonna make our way onto our back very gently. So you can either use your hands right here on your knees to support you as you move back. You can put your hands on the ground to support you. You can even bring your feet over and kind of go down into a fetal and then onto your back, if that's more appropriate. Or bring your hands out in front of you, interlace all the fingers except for the pointer fingers pointing forward. Really lift up, engage your core, hug the low ribs in, belly button to spine and lift. And then on an exhale, very slowly with control, lowering down one single vertebrae at a time till we're all the way down on our backs. I still miss the mat with my head, so I'm going to scoot down a little bit more. And once you're there, just very, very slowly and mindfully, windshield wiper the feet towards the right and the left. And a little mini massage to your low back and hips. And then next time you come over to the right, we're just going to go ahead and let our legs fall all the way over to the right. Move this pillow. You can always, if you need some extra support and you want something to rest your legs on, you can use that block or that pillow, bolster blanket to let your right knees fall on. That's an option. You can use your right hand to put a little bit of pressure, just a tiny little bit, onto your left outer thigh. You can extend the arms, bring the hips up a little closer maybe. You can bring our gaze over our left shoulder, making sure that that right shoulder and the left shoulder both stay firmly rooted into the ground. Of course, the left hip is up. I'm going to remove my pillow, but feel free to leave yours there if you want it. You can also do cactus arms where our elbows are bent, like a 90-degree angle. One more deep inhale, and on the exhale, we're going to bring the knees up through center and just right on over to the left side. And all the options that were available to you on the right side are still available on the left side. So you want to use something for support under your left thigh, and use that left hand on the outer right thigh. Maybe our gaze goes over our right shoulder. Either have our cactus arms or our arms extended. You can have your hands on the belly if that feels better for you. And then one more deep inhale. Your exhale. Bring your knees back up to center. Maybe readjust your hips if you need to. A deep inhale. Hug your knees into your chest.
On an exhale, maybe lifting the forehead towards the knees. Totally optional. Nice tight, tight, tight squeeze here. Gonna inhale and then sigh it out through the mouth. One more time. And on the next inhale, hold it for just a second, then exhale. Let everything go. Feet return to the ground. Stretch one leg out, then the other. So we have lots of props here today, so maybe we want to put a pillow under our head. I brought my, heard a lot of people say you want to wrap up like a burrito. I brought my tortilla blanket. Maybe you want to cover up with a blanket. Don't like my feet to be uncovered, so I'm going to move that down so my feet are covered. Maybe you also want to put something behind your knees. Maybe all of this will feel better for you in the fetal position, especially if you're having some low back pain today, or with your feet on the ground and your knees up. Maybe our hands are on our belly or down by our side. Tuck the shoulder blades in a little closer behind the chest. Just try to soften everything here. Just kind of start at the top of your head and noticing wherever you're holding any tension and try to let it go. So start with your forehead, that space between your eyes, between your eyebrows, your cheeks, your jaw. Soften and let it go. Your neck, your shoulders, your chest, down through both arms, the hands and the fingers, your belly, your hips. Just trying to soften and let go. Ground is there. You don't need to do any work here. The earth will support you. Releasing any tension in your thighs, that space behind your knee, your shins and calves, and your ankles, your feet, your toes. Free to let your breathing return back to its normal rhythm. Of course, you can close the eyes here if they're not already closed. Feel comfortable. Not just try to relax and soften the gaze and letting your vision go a little blurry. Just let your body rest here in this position. You're fully supported. Now, if you have the time, I invite you to go ahead and just pause this video. Put on your favorite chill, relaxing music. Just hang out here for as long as you want. Maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15, maybe take a little nap here if you want. It's always great. I fully support taking a nap on your yoga mat during Shavasana. But if not, I understand that we're all busy. And although we've tried to put our to-do list aside, it is still there. And the world may be waiting for you. So I'm going to go ahead and close our practice now. We're just going to close right here from our Shavasana and bring the palms together, thumbs to the third eye, space kind of between your eyebrows on your forehead. Take a couple deep breaths in and out together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale. And sigh it out. Last time, inhale in. And sigh it out. Thank you so much for joining me today for this restorative practice. Thank you for taking the time to just rest. Thank you for letting me be your guide through this practice today. I hope to see you again really soon. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, requests, please leave them below in the comments. I'd love to hear back from you. I love to make practices that work for your life and your body. So if there's something you need or want to see, please let me know and I will try my very best to make it happen. Thank you so much for practicing with me. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.